All right, so if you've been watching this channel, you already know who we are. I'm Kyle, this is Dean, and we've been making a super low budget indie feature film by ourselves, like with our own gear. I've been holding the camera, he's been holding the mic, and we've basically done this whole thing without a crew because we just decided that we wanted to make a movie. We didn't have money for a crew, and we were like, well, we have the camera, let's go for it. So, part of making a movie is lighting. And we wanted to make a video about lighting this time, and specifically lighting entirely with natural light. We have obviously not had the money to have a legit crew, so we had to rely oftentimes on natural light. And if you are an indie filmmaker or somebody that just makes a lot of stuff on your own, you know how important lighting is, but you also know that you'll be needing to use natural light. And so I just wanted to sort of run you through how we went about it a little bit and just give you a couple things and thoughts from our perspective pertaining to using literally natural light. We are going to make another video in the future where we're talking about other lighting, but we just wanted to start here because it's the easiest. So there's a few things I want to go over today, but I'm going to start with my favorite setup because I think it's the most valuable and something that I don't see touched on that often. The first thing I'll say about lighting in general is the main point is backlighting. And if you don't know what backlighting is, that's where you need to start. So if you're like a beginner, and you're like, how do I even go about lighting? I was in this industry for a long time and I didn't fully understand lighting until, I still don't fully understand it, but I understood it a lot more when I found this one guy on YouTube. And so make sure you write this down and actually go and find this guy and subscribe to his channel. His name is Patrick O'Sullivan and his YouTube channel is called Wandering DP. If there's anything that I could give you guys that is the most valuable information pertaining to lighting, it is that and only that. Many other YouTubers are teaching you the concept of backlighting and how to light different scenes. I'm going to tell you straight away, in my opinion, every single one of those creators are ripping Wandering DP's channel pretty directly, and he's the guy. Go there and start watching his videos. Just trust me there. I'm not going to walk you into all the concepts because he already does everything you would need to know pertaining to lighting for the most part. I just want to take you into things that are specific to what I've learned while making this movie together. And let's just get right into it. The first scene that I want to talk about is this scene that we call Tweeze's house. We talked about this in a previous video, so you may have already seen the scene. And in that video, we were talking about art direction, but today I want to tell you about the lighting. This scene is super interesting to me because of the way it was lit. It may be hard for you to believe when you see these frames, but there was no lighting. This is straight up just sunlight around noon during the brightest time of the day. And the biggest technique that I did with this is something that I was always told not to do, and something that you would also feel like you should not be allowed to do, but that is blowing out the windows. As you can see from this frame, I have entirely blown out the window. There's absolutely no detail. It's just glowing like heaven outside, and it looks beautiful. It looks insane. The whole thing is that like all these cinematographers and all these people teaching about lighting, they're always talking about retaining the highlights and how you don't want things to clip in both shadows or highlights. But in this specific situation, I could not have got this lighting any other way. There's no way for me to fake this because I'm looking straight out the window. So if I was to retain the highlight details, I would see out the window, and I don't want to see out the window. And if I did, I would see the light stands and everything like that. So the reason I did this was because I was looking at a lot of references for this scene because I knew this scene was going to be kind of a sketchy guy. His character is kind of like a drug addict. And so I was looking at a lot of different scenes that had sort of a desaturated, moody, kind of gloomy feel on shot deck. And I was going through, and I was like, how do I light this? And I found some images one day where I was like, just so curiously looking around, being like, what the heck? They entirely blew out the window. Like, I've always been told I can't blow out the window. What are they doing with these? Obviously, some of these have shears on them, which is like diffusing it a little bit, but like this one doesn't have that at all. And I think the whole thing that I'm trying to articulate with this is just like how blown away I was by the way it looked. Like, I think if you're shooting an indie film on your own, you're always like, how am I even gonna light this? I don't have a crew. Literally, I just put the camera on a tripod in the room. It was noon, and we started rolling. And not only that, it's not just for the wide shot. Every other shot in this medium wide, this super close up, it's all just lit with that same glowing noon light. And if you see in this close up of this character, her face is lit, in my opinion, perfectly. It looks like she has a negative fill on the shadow side. It looks like the key light is wrapping around. Since it's a big window, you see this perfect eye light in her eyes. And just the quality of the light is insane. I mean, I guess you would say that it's like a 4 foot by 4 foot size, the light, but it's so bright that it caused a high contrast ratio. So I didn't need things like a negative fill. And to be honest, in this wide shot, I couldn't have even had a negative fill because I was so far from the character. So again, I'm just trying to reiterate this. I could not have lit this shot with a crew any better than the result I got without a crew, because all I used was natural light, the brightest sun possible, coming through a window. And the only decision that I made to make sure that this would look like this is, let's just entirely blow out the windows. The one thing that I've always been taught I should not do. And even this close-up of her looking out the window, the way the light looks, so I got a shot of the other guy as well, and the light is soft, wrapping around his face. So every other shot has perfect lighting. It was just the wide shot that was a challenge. And again, when I found these images on Shot Deck, that's when I learned, oh my God, these DPs must be just letting the windows clip.
I think like an interesting thing too is we don't talk about it much, but like lighting motivation or something, like you said, oh, it's supposed to be this seedy house, maybe these people didn't pay their electric bill. And so you would maybe think, oh, well, my scene isn't supposed to look like that, so what would I do? But one of the images you found is from Marriage Story, and that's not supposed to feel dark or destitute or something like that. So it can work for kind of a lot of different scenarios.
Yeah, like the thing is, in these images that I'm showing you, these are not super indie features. These are full-blown Hollywood films. They have whatever they would need to not let that happen. They definitely have full crews. They definitely have every light possible, every camera, every piece of technology possible. Why would they be letting the windows blow out if you're not supposed to do that? It's because apparently we are supposed to do that, according to legit movies. And so I tried it, and I was just shocked. And I just thought that's something that could be really valuable to you guys if you're ever thinking about, what do I do? It's like, shoot straight into the window, blow it out, and then all the other shots will look beautiful from the different angles. But that shot, that's okay.
Well, that's like another thing you said too. The only reason you like came to that thought of having to do that is because you didn't know what you were going to do. Like you were really struggling trying to figure.
Yeah, I was like thinking, and I also have this other technique where when I don't really know what I'm going to do with the scene, I remember I was spending like a lot of hours, like 4 hours at a time. I would go to Shot Deck and I would just scroll. I didn't even put in a keyword. I just scrolled the whole abyss of images that Shot Deck has. And I just scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. And what you get when you're doing that is just a big variety of like a download of random image information, and you get to just explore and see what's going on. And I'm sure I was doing something like that. I saw one of these and I was like, oh, wait a minute, that kind of has like a seedy look or like a weird, I don't know. And I'm just paying attention, looking at them, thinking, what are they doing? How's the composition? Where's the light coming from? What's the art direction? I'm just exploring to think for the sake of we're making a movie and I want to think. But I remember one day I was on there and I was like, oh my God,
And
these guys are blowing out the windows.
not to get like too off topic, but what was it about the location that was even like why did you feel stuck? Like you didn't know what to do?
I can't actually remember if it was that the location was the issue or if we chose the location after
You figured this
this.
out
Yeah, I can't remember. And I want to say we chose the location after
because you liked that
because
window.
I was like, dude, they're doing this, so I need a window like that. Yeah, and I think that's what happened. But to answer a question in a different way, the reason the location we had works so good is because that window is like kind of right in a perfect spot to where it can light them from the back for the wide shot, but also it's in the perfect angle for her key light and it's in the perfect angle for his key light without any moving, blocking or anything like that. Back to the wide shot, just because I had this thought, there is one thing that I'll say is in that wide shot, what I noticed in these images is if you watch any coloring videos or things like that, you'll often hear about people talking about the toe of the image, which is the darker shadows in your image, like the low end of the image. They call it the toe. Uh, what I will say is when you're blowing out the windows, there is this fine line of riding the exposure, which is what I tried to do to where I'm like, I'm clipping it, but like if you zoom in, you see there's like, it's obviously blown out to all hell, but like there's like just a hair of detail maybe, and same in the shadows where like, I mean, in this one, I wasn't caring about how much I blew it out, but I was kind of paying more attention to the shadows then. Because what kind of happens is you can see it has like a silhouette feel, but it's not so silhouette. Like, that's what you're then dealing with. Once you made the decision to, like, all right, that's going to blow out, I don't care about it. Now just get your shadows in the right spot. And that's what I think I had my references up on my phone while we were shooting, and I was like, okay, there's this really dark, but it's not black. So that's what I did. I just put the aperture in the camera to do that. All right, so we talked about blowing out windows. Crazy concept. You're not supposed to do it. We did it. It's amazing. Look what it looks like. Uh, Once I allowed myself to know that blowing out the windows was super cool, I then was in another situation in the same part of this film where these guys were going to be in a van, which is like a car of sorts, and inside cars, there's like the roof of the car and all the windows, and it's really hard to light. Again, we didn't have a crew. This day it was just me and Dean. So he's holding the mic, I'm holding the camera. Who's holding the bounce? We don't even a bounce. We don't even have that. So
And we're on a road in the middle of
yeah,
nowhere.
we're on a road in the middle of nowhere, and we have a whole schedule of things, which I'm going to talk about scheduling in a second. But due to the fact that we had so much scenes, so much parts of different scenes to shoot and shots in this one day, we did have to shoot at the worst time of the day, which is when the sun is the highest and brightest. Everybody tells you to shoot at like golden hour or when the sun is lower, so like the morning and the afternoon. And yeah, obviously you get great results then, but we had to shoot a lot of different scenes. And even if the sun was low enough to edge them out in this situation, I just had so many shots that needed to match in this scene, so I couldn't have it changing, and I had priorities for other scenes in the same day that those scenes needed to get the good light outside. So I was like, you know what, we're in a car, it's kind of going to look bad regardless. So what did I do? Went back to the old trusty shot deck, scrolled through hours of looking, thinking, what the hell am I doing? And I think there's what is it? What is it called?
Mama Tambien.
E tu Mama Tambien. I found some shots from that movie, and they did the old classic method. When you can't get good lighting, blow out the windows and hope for the best with the shadows. And so that's what I did. I tried that again, and I was like, I hope this works and doesn't look like complete, just bad. And it looked amazing. You can see these frames here. The windows obviously super clipping, but the characters still feel like a movie to me. They feel, for the lack of better words, cinematic. They feel like shot deck. So that was my method, and I did this angle with it. I did the close up angles with it. I got both sides that way. And the cool thing here, like with this shot, you can see here on this character's face. His name is Elston in the movie, but I shot it at this angle where I still get depth from Tweez in the foreground, but then because of the way his face is angled, yeah, I'm blowing out the windows, but the light is coming from that window and the windshield, but there's no light in the back of the car because it's a dark van. So he does still have shape to his face because the shadow is still essentially becoming a makeshift negative fill for him. And so the reason that I told you to go pay attention to Wandering DP is because he gives you essentially like this formula to how to light and how to shoot and what's important and how to do things with different angles and all that stuff. I'm obviously not lighting at all in this scene in the van. However, I'm not shooting from the front, facing back into their face being bright. I'm shooting into the shadow. And even on these angles, I'm still shooting at an angle where the key light is coming from the far side, which again, he breaks this down for you. So go there. But what I'm saying is once you understand him, then what you can do is make the best decision for the budget and situation that you're in. So once you know the concepts of lighting, you don't even need light to be able to employ the concepts of what lighting should be with what you can do naturally. So, all right, here's another situation. We parked outside. There's like a white garage door that's just like, oh my God, that's way too bright, you know? But what did we do? The old classic method. We blew out the windows and it looks amazing, in my opinion. Okay, now we've talked about blowing out the windows. That's a big part of natural lighting.